Right now, in the year 2025, humanity is standing at the edge of something incredible. For thousands of years, we have looked up at the night sky and wondered what lies beyond our world. But today, we are closer than ever to finding out. We already have astronauts living and working on the International Space Station, orbiting high above Earth. NASA is preparing new missions to the Moon through the Artemis program, and private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are racing to make space travel cheaper and more common. What was once only a dream in science fiction is slowly becoming real. We are no longer just visitors in space. We are beginning to think about staying there permanently. The decisions made in the next few decades will shape the future of our species for centuries to come. The question is no longer if we will colonize space, but when and how far we will go. The journey of the next 200 years will decide whether humans remain tied to one planet or grow into a civilization that lives among the stars. The next 25 years will mark the true beginning of space colonization. Right now, the focus is on the Moon. NASA's Artemis program and other international missions are working on building a permanent presence there. The Moon is not just a place to visit. It's the perfect training ground for learning how to live away from Earth. Scientists believe that by the 2030s, small lunar bases could be built where astronauts and researchers will live for weeks or even months at a time. These bases will not only allow us to study the Moon, but also test the technologies we need for much bigger missions. One of the most important reasons for building on the Moon is its resources. The lunar surface contains frozen water hidden in shadowed craters. This ice can be turned into drinking water, oxygen to breathe, and even hydrogen fuel for rockets. Imagine a future where spacecraft leaving for Mars or beyond can refuel on the Moon instead of carrying everything from Earth. That single breakthrough could make long-distance space travel far easier and cheaper. Meanwhile, private companies will play a major role. SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others are already designing reusable rockets, space stations, and even concepts for lunar tourism. By the 2040s, it's very possible that space travel will not only be for astronauts, but also for researchers, workers, and even adventurous travelers. Just like air travel went from rare to routine in the last century, space travel could follow the same path. And while the Moon is our first step, Mars is already waiting in line. Plans for the first human missions to Mars are being designed right now. If successful, humans could set foot on the red planet by the late 2030s. These missions will be dangerous and challenging, but they will open the door to something even bigger, the possibility of building the first settlements on another world. By the year 2050, humanity may no longer be living only on Earth. We may have small but permanent outposts on the Moon, preparing for Mars and beyond. These first steps will be slow, fragile, and difficult, but they will mark the beginning of humanity's journey to becoming a multi-planet species. The foundation of the next 200 years will be built in this early stage, when we prove to ourselves that we can survive and thrive off-world. By the second half of this century, Mars will become the center of human ambition in space. After decades of planning and testing, the first pioneers will finally set foot on the red planet. These first missions will be small, with only a few astronauts living in temporary shelters, but they will represent one of the greatest milestones in human history, our first step onto another planet. Mars is not an easy place to live. The air is thin and toxic, the temperatures are freezing, and dangerous radiation constantly hits the surface. But despite these challenges, humans will begin to adapt. Early settlers will live in sealed habitats, protected by thick walls or even underground shelters. Solar panels and nuclear reactors will power these outposts, while greenhouses will grow food inside protective domes. Every small victory, planting the first crops, recycling water, or generating breathable air, will prove that humans can build a life on Mars. By the late 21st century, these outposts may grow into the first true settlements. Scientists and engineers will experiment with terraforming, the process of slowly changing Mars to make it more Earth-like. Large mirrors in orbit could reflect sunlight onto the surface, melting frozen carbon dioxide and thickening the atmosphere. Machines might release gases to warm the planet over centuries. While Mars may never look exactly like Earth, these efforts could make it safer and easier for future generations to live there. Transportation will also improve during this time. New spacecraft, possibly powered by advanced nuclear or plasma engines, will cut the journey to Mars from months to just a few weeks. This will allow more people to travel between Earth and Mars, carrying supplies, equipment, and eventually families. For the first time in history, humans will begin to create communities beyond Earth. By the year 2100, Mars may host thousands of settlers living in connected colonies. It will not yet be fully independent from Earth, but it will stand as humanity's first real home on another world. This will be the era when humans stop being a single-planet species and take the first steps toward becoming truly interplanetary. As the 22nd century begins, humanity will no longer be limited to Earth, the Moon, and Mars. This period will be remembered as the age of expansion, when we spread outward into the solar system and began to build the first true space-based civilization. By now, technology will have advanced far beyond our imagination today. Powerful nuclear fusion reactors may provide cheap and almost limitless energy, making long-distance travel across the solar system much faster and safer. Ships will no longer take years to reach the outer planets. They might make the journey in months. With faster travel and stronger spacecraft, more people will choose to live and work away from Earth. One of the biggest changes of this era will be the colonization of asteroids. The asteroid belt, floating between Mars and Jupiter, is filled with valuable metals and minerals: iron, nickel, platinum, and even rare elements used in electronics. Mining these resources could create enormous wealth and power entire industries in space. Instead of digging deep into Earth's surface, humans will gather resources from the sky. Massive space stations, called O'Neill cylinders, may orbit near these belts. These gigantic rotating habitats, each able to hold tens of thousands of people, could become new cities in space, complete with homes, farms, and even artificial weather. Meanwhile, Mars colonies will continue to grow, possibly reaching millions of residents. What began as fragile outposts will develop into thriving towns with schools, markets, and industries. Mars could become the first planet where children are born and raised entirely off Earth, creating a new kind of human culture. The Moon, too, will evolve from a testing ground into a central hub for trade and fuel production, linking Earth with the rest of the solar system. Robots and artificial intelligence will play a huge role in this expansion. Machines will handle dangerous work, from mining asteroids to maintaining space habitats, while humans focus on exploration, governance, and building communities. It will be a partnership between human creativity and machine efficiency, driving progress faster than ever before. By the mid-22nd century, the solar system may begin to feel like a connected society. Trade routes will link Earth, the Moon, Mars, and asteroid colonies. Goods, resources, and even cultural ideas will flow across millions of kilometers of space. For the first time, humanity will truly be living in multiple worlds, bound together not just by technology, but by a shared destiny. This age of expansion will mark the transition from survival to growth. Humans will no longer just be testing if we can live in space. We will be building a new civilization there. And with each step forward, the dream of reaching even farther will become stronger. By the middle of the 22nd century, humanity will set its sights even farther than Mars. This will be the time of the outer colonies, when humans begin to settle the distant moons of Jupiter and Saturn. These worlds will not be easy places to live, but they will open up a new frontier of exploration and survival. One of the most exciting targets will be Europa, a moon of Jupiter. Beneath its icy surface lies a vast ocean of liquid water, perhaps even larger than all the oceans on Earth combined. Scientists have long wondered if life could exist there, hidden in the dark waters below the ice. By the late 2100s, explorers may establish bases on Europa, drilling through the thick crust of ice and sending submarines into the ocean. These missions could answer one of humanity's greatest questions. Are we alone in the universe? Living there would be a challenge, but the promise of discovery would be too great to ignore. Another major settlement could be built on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Titan has thick clouds, lakes of liquid methane, and an atmosphere rich in nitrogen. While it is extremely cold, Titan is one of the few places in the solar system with a stable atmosphere and surface liquids. Colonists may build domed cities powered by fusion reactors, and advanced technologies could even make use of Titan's natural resources for fuel and industry. Traveling to these distant worlds will be made possible by breakthroughs in propulsion. Fusion drives, antimatter engines, or other advanced systems may reduce the journey to months instead of decades. These powerful technologies will not only make the outer solar system reachable, but also make regular travel between colonies possible. Life in the outer colonies will shape humanity in new ways. Far from Earth, settlers will grow more independent, developing unique cultures and ways of living. Over generations, people born on Europa, Titan, or in massive orbital habitats may begin to see themselves less as Earthlings and more as citizens of the solar system. An interplanetary economy will also rise. Earth will still be the cultural and population center, but resources, technology, and even knowledge will flow between colonies. Just as nations once traded across oceans, humanity will now trade across the planets and moons of the solar system. By the year 2200, humans may live in dozens of colonies spread across inner and outer space. What once seemed like distant science fiction will have become everyday reality. Earth will no longer be the only cradle of civilization. It will be one of many homes in a growing network of worlds. By the early 23rd century, humanity's reach across the solar system will be well established. Colonies will thrive on the Moon, Mars, the asteroid belt, and even the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. But with this success, a bigger question will rise. What lies beyond our sun? This is the beginning of the interstellar dream, the idea of leaving our solar system and reaching the stars. The closest star system, Alpha Centauri, is more than 4 light-years away. With today's technology, that journey would take tens of thousands of years. But by the 2200s, new propulsion systems could make interstellar travel possible. Fusion drives, antimatter engines, or even experimental technologies like light sails powered by powerful lasers could push probes and eventually people toward other stars at a fraction of light speed. Even then, the trip could take decades or centuries, but for a civilization that now spans planets, this kind of mission may no longer seem impossible. The first steps will likely be robotic. Probes will be launched toward nearby stars, carrying advanced AI to explore planets and send back data. These machines could map alien worlds, search for habitable planets, and even look for signs of life. But soon after, humans may follow. By the mid-23rd century, plans for the first interstellar colony mission could take shape. This might involve giant generation ships, massive vessels carrying thousands of people, designed to support entire communities for centuries as they travel through the void. Even if such missions are rare and difficult, they would represent the greatest leap humanity has ever made. For the first time, we would not just be a solar system civilization. We would become an interstellar one. The dream of traveling to other suns, once only a fantasy, would be turning into reality. This era would also force humanity to ask deep questions about who we are and what we want our future to be. Should we spread endlessly into the galaxy? Should we seek out other life? Or should we focus on preserving what we have built? The choices made in this period will shape not just the next 200 years, but the entire destiny of our species. By 2225, the seeds of interstellar exploration will have been planted. Whether through powerful probes, daring missions, or massive colony ships, humanity will be preparing to take its first steps beyond the cradle of our solar system, reaching for the stars themselves. By the mid-23rd century, humanity will no longer be bound to a single planet or even a single solar system. Earth will still remain our birthplace, the cultural heart of our species, but it will no longer be our only home. Colonies will stretch from the moon to Mars, across the asteroid belt, and out to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Generations of people will have been born and raised in space, in domed cities, floating habitats, and even on alien worlds. For them, Earth will be a place of history and heritage, not necessarily the place they live. Interstellar missions will have already begun. Perhaps the first colony ship will be on its way toward Alpha Centauri, carrying the hope of an entire civilization. Probes may be sending back images of Earth-like planets orbiting distant suns. For the first time, humanity will truly be stepping beyond the boundaries of its own star system, taking the first steps into the galaxy. Life itself will be transformed. Advances in medicine, genetics, and artificial intelligence will allow humans to live longer, adapt to harsh environments, and survive in places once thought impossible. Some colonies may become almost independent civilizations, developing their own cultures, governments, and ways of life. Humanity will no longer be a single, united species living under one sky. We will become many, spread across different worlds, yet all connected by a common origin. And yet, Earth will always remain special. It is the cradle of our story, the place where life first began, and the reminder of what we must protect as we expand outward. Even as we travel to the stars, Earth will remain our anchor, a living memory of who we are and where we came from. Looking back from the year 2235, the last 200 years will seem like the greatest turning point in history. In just 2 centuries, humanity will have gone from taking small steps on the moon to building thriving civilizations across the stars. We will have become what our ancestors only dreamed of: a multi-planetary interstellar species. The story of space colonization is not just about rockets, technology, or distant planets. It is about us. It is about survival, discovery, and the desire to push beyond limits. The next 200 years will prove that we are not bound to Earth. We are meant for the stars.